Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're reflecting back on our 2025 goals. Back in January, we set goals for the year, and today we're going to reflect back and see how we did on each one of them. Join us as we share what we accomplished and what we plan to carry over to next year. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're sharing how we did in 2025. Way back on January 22nd of this year, we released an episode called Design Your Year. And in that episode, we talked about what we hope to accomplish this year and tried to inspire each other to plan ways to achieve our goals. And now it's time to take a look back and reflect on how we did. And Julie and Mindy, this episode is reminding me of a game show, but I can't think of the name. It's like where the announcer might say, "You said you did this, but really you did this." Was it like the Newlywed Game, or what was
Sounds
it?
like Jerry Springer.
Well, that's true.
I don't know this game show. I don't know.
Okay, but it's kind of like, you said you were going to accomplish this, but really you didn't. Or you did it this way, or whatever. That's kind of what we're doing today. Like, Julie, you said, actually, we should say, Mindy and Marie, you said, because we know Julie did her stuff.
I'd like to see her bingo card come out.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
I don't know. Were you guys as surprised as I was when you went back and listened to that episode? You're
honestly,
like,
I never gave those things another thought after I recorded them. Oh my God. But I was surprised by how many I actually did, because I guess they must have been things that I truly wanted to do. I didn't need to be reminded of them, I guess. But I really honestly never gave them another thought.
That was actually one of my takeaways. When I re-listened to this episode, I was like, oh yeah, I couldn't have told you in a million years what my word for the year was. Like, I literally could not. But I was like, oh, yeah, that was really good. Yeah, that's exactly actually how my year went. And as I listened to it and I heard kind of the run through of list, my hot mess list that I made, I was like, wow, actually, yeah, all of those things, pretty much most of them happen. I wonder if, like, subconsciously, if you just talk about it or think about it, it gets in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's down in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
As you said, Mindy, we started off that episode talking about our word of the year. And I think it might be fun to go back and refresh listeners' minds on what we said our word would be and how we maybe saw that play out a little bit during the year. So, Mindy, since you mentioned word of the year, what was your word?
We were all surprised to hear that my word was look. And I loved the verses that I'd chosen. I actually don't have them on hand right now, except I did end up memorizing the Hebrews 12:1 and 2 passage that I mentioned, because it was something that was a constant prayer throughout my whole year. I really appreciated that was an intention of mine, because I do feel that looking back on this year, it was something that I thought about daily. I was looking for how the Lord was moving. I was looking for the work and the purpose that He had for each day. I felt like it was even more of an intention of mine to ask the Lord to order my steps, and more of an intention to see what He was doing. Because it happened to be a year where there wasn't a lot of change or activity or major anything happening. It was maybe a quieter year, a year of almost setting, resting, waiting, knowing that things were going to change in my family and the dynamics in this next year. And so it was a year of kind of waiting, looking, anticipating. And so the work and the things that God allowed me to see and notice were small. And I think I would have missed them had I not been looking. And those small things were monumental in terms of giving joy, feeling abundantly blessed, feeling abundantly loved, feeling seen by the Lord, feeling heard by the Lord. But anytime you actively look for something, you will find it. And so what you look at, you'll see. And that sounds really silly, but I was looking for the Lord to move. And in those small, quiet, hushed ways, it was quite monumental and beautiful.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
So your word that you kind of came up with just for that episode turned out to be a true inspiration for your year. That's great.
It was.
Yeah, that's neat.
All right, Julie, what was your word for the year?
Okay, I'll be honest. I did have my little bingo chart up on my mirror for the whole year. I looked at it every day, but I did not really focus on the word that much. So, it was refresh, but I think, like you said, Mindy, I picked a word that I felt like I needed for the year, and then I noticed in the things that I did accomplish or do on my list were the things that kind of refresh me. A lot of creative things, and that's what refreshes me. And then the things that I didn't accomplish were the things that are a little harder for me. So, yeah, I my verse was Jeremiah 31:25. For I will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul I will replenish. And like I said, I didn't focus on that word too much, but I thought it was interesting. For my Christmas card, I usually try to put a word from a Christmas hymn or a phrase, and this year it was "A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices." So I thought, well, that's probably not coincidental that I chose weary and refresh together. So
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. So I do feel refreshed in many ways this year.
good.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
good. All right, my word of the year, I put balance, and then I think I kind of had like a counter word, which is stretch. I think there can be a lot of different good things, and so you can kind of be trying to find the balance between several different good things, and then also I have a need to just stretch myself to do things that are uncomfortable. So I think the example that I used on finding balance was I said I had 2 good things already for the week of 4th of July. So this was back in January. And it was interesting to hear myself talk about that because I did end up fitting in both the good things, and I was so glad they each were wonderful. And at the time, I was kind of conflicted on whether I should cancel one or the other. They were 2 trips, and they basically stopped and ended around the week of 4th of July, and I wasn't sure if I should stretch myself to do both. But in the end, I was really glad I did, and I kind of forgot that I'd been even contemplating canceling one back then. So it's interesting to go back and hear yourself
Mhm.
then when something's all over and you think, "Oh, I'm glad I just went ahead and did it."
Mhm.
Right.
But I think that I talked about how that there are different things that have more value for you in certain areas than maybe for someone else. The things that they're trying to fit in might have different priorities. And so just to find a balance that works for me and maybe not always be trying to find a balance that I think other people would necessarily approve of or something like that.
Right.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I shared this in the podcast. I don't think I did, but I've been trying to tell myself to say yes to more things this year. Like if somebody asks me to do something, even if it's outside of my comfort zone or something where I can immediately think of the ways that I might be uncomfortable, I still try to say yes. And I have several examples of ways that has kind of benefited me this year. So that's been a good thing. So anyways, those were my words or, my ideas. I never did really think about them again, but I can see now that I was trying to put them into play.
Mhm.
Right. It's amazing. Just the conversation itself just ingrains something in you. And so it's worth the time to talk about it. And I was laughing at myself as I just was so rebellious towards this idea. I'm listening back to my own self, talking about, just the pains of trying to be intentional. And it really is effective. And so the grown up version of Mindy now over the past year would say, I hope we do this again.
Mhm.
Well, like you said, Mindy, when you look for something, you often find it.
Right.
And that was true for me. Like, I have never been a goal setter. I have never written one goal down. I've hardly even thought of goals. And John
Right.
didn't either. Like, that wasn't part of our life. And yet we accomplish things, but you
Mhm.
often hear that successful people have goals.
Mhm.
And so I did really like this practice and I will do it again.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
because just like you see things you look for, you tend to go in the direction that you're aiming.
Mhm.
And so I
Hmm.
remember that this was kind of taken from a Gretchen Rubin podcast where like she designed her year, but she said that she doesn't call them goals, she calls them aims. And I liked that.
Hmm.
It was a little softer.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
this is just what I'm aiming for. So it helped me when I saw those things written on my mirror every morning. It was like, okay, this is the direction I'm going. Like, what can I do to align my time and my habits to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I didn't get to all of them, but I
Okay.
did get to a lot of them, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's reflect on the specific goals that we set. What ones did you meet? So, Julie, you had 25 goals for 25. Can you give kind of a brief summary of what they were and if you were successful?
Yeah, I would say that I accomplished 12 of my
Okay,
25.
that's great.
And, I'm a list maker and I love crossing things off my list. And a few years back, I would have probably said, how can I cross 5 more off before December 31st? But like, no, that's not the goal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted
Right.
to incorporate these into my life, not just check something off. So I feel like I'm in good company because Gretchen and her sister said they never complete their list. They just
Mhm.
roll those things over, or they decide, I don't really want to do that. There's
Mhm.
a reason I didn't do it because I don't want to, or I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't get to that, or I'm going to make that a priority next year. So I had kind of noticed that mine were like clumped into some creative things, uh, to some educational things, relationship type of things, or just tasks to do around my house, or things that were related to travel and travel planning. So the ones that I did the most of were the creative ones. And I think that's because I find those things refreshing,
Mm-hmm.
which was what my word was, even though I wasn't really thinking about my word.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I think that's why I was gravitating towards those things. Um, and learning something. My Colson Fellowship hadn't even well, yeah, it had started. No, it hadn't started because it didn't start till August of
Right.
25. And so that's probably been the most significant thing for me. Sticking with that, it's pretty rigorous, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah. Julie, remind me, how long is that Chuck Colson program
It's
that you're
a
doing?
it's like a school year, so it started in
Okay.
August and it ends in May.
Okay. We'll have to celebrate that when you finish.
Yeah, so it's
That's a major
it's
work.
more than halfway through, and I'm kind of sad to
Okay.
see it come to an end.
Yeah. Okay.
My creative ones were to frame all my Christmas watercolors. So I made a gallery wall of those.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to paint my Christmas card before Halloween, which I did, which is
Wow.
really funny because it didn't help me get it out any earlier because
Oh.
I hadn't cut them apart. I hadn't gotten envelopes. I hadn't gone to buy stamps.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
next year I'm going to have to do all that by Halloween too.
Oh my.
Right. Right.
Continue making my beeswax candles, so I have done that. Yeah, and then some of my travel things, I did camp with Girl Camper in Colorado, and that was one of the highlights of my year. I looked back at some pictures of that, and I loved that. And then I did camp with my cousins at Red River Gorge in Kentucky, and we're already talking about where we're gonna go this year. So those were both really good things. And then on relational ones, I'm kinda disappointed in myself because I feel like this is where I dropped the ball, but I know why, because that's just hard right now. But one of those things was to visit with Molly's family every season, and so I
Mhm.
was able to go out 3 times. So, like, February hits Molly and Colin's birthday, July hits Liam's birthday, September hits, Ezra's birthday, and then they're coming here for Christmas. So, like, every quarter we were together. So that was, even though I didn't do some of the other things, that was the most significant, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then just some other things like around the house, like my fence painting was really big. That was
Mm-hmm.
monumental.
I remember you going through that.
But like it was good that I accomplished something I needed, but it was also a mental thing for me, like
Mm-hmm.
doing something well, taking my time and doing it right and sticking with something that was really not that fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, that was good. And then there were a few other like just tasks to do. And, I fixed some broken things, still have to clean out my garage. Never got to that, but there's time for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you did pretty good there, Julie.
Well, yeah, I only have to come up if I do the 25 and 26. I'm not going to add one. I'm not doing 26 and 26. Um, I'm just going to like replace the ones I've already done. I'm just going to move those off and fill them in with some new ones and
Oh,
keep the
that's
old ones right where they
great.
are because I still want to do those. That's everything I listed
Hmm.
that I didn't do. I really still want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good. All right, Mindy, when you listened back at yourself, how'd you think you did?
I think I'm really pretty wise in the fact that I only talk about very low hanging fruit, because then I can accomplish it.
Right.
And I can feel uber successful. So it's kind of funny because looking back at the year and then listening to myself. So listening to the things that I wanted to accomplish were really kind of simple things, except for the practicing forgiveness. I was like,
Mm.
oof, that was heavy. So I'll start with the simple things and then I'll go there. So yes, I'm wearing my glasses. I talked about that. I've been wearing my mouth guard at night that I did get from the dentist, which is literally my new favorite thing because I sleep a lot better. It is amazing how much that mouth guard has changed my health, how I wake up, how I feel, the level of sleep that I'm able to get.
It's great.
Um, still going to bed early. Um, I have become more confident in not wearing mascara, so that was one of the things I talked about, and as silly as that seems, I've been wearing mascara since I was, like, 12, maybe 13. But, literally simplifying my routine and not feeling like I had to have mascara on every day has kind of freed me up. I don't know. It's been so enjoyable all year long, and every day I get so excited that I'm not putting it on. And then when I put it on, I get excited to put it on, so
Mm-hmm.
that was actually exciting for me. I have stretched most days, and that has been part of my gratitude walk. And then I always end a little early and make time for stretching. So that was something I talked about, was physically just stretching. So my body has actually felt better through the year by doing that. I laughed when I heard myself say that I needed to sell clothes in my
Oh, yeah.
closet because I think it was only like a month ago I finally did that.
Mhm.
I was like, "Whew, glad I snuck that one in there." I totally forgot I said that in January. Let's see. I wanted to add one new recipe. Julie talked about what, 4 dinner time recipes, I believe?
Yeah, I said learn more clean dinner
Oh,
recipes, so,
right,
yeah.
right, right. Yeah, how'd you do on that?
I did really well at the beginning of the year, and I did do that, but then I was hoping I would just keep going, but I
Right.
kinda got stuck there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did do that, but yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I did learn a good recipe that I did a lot, but I would think I was more happy looking back over the year that I had just actually planned, prepared a meal menu for the week, and we had more consistent dinner times as a family.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so food is just such a way to bring my family together. So whether it's just Bryce and I and Nathan, which is what kind of our normal everyday family is, but as kids came and went, food was such a major part. So taking time to talk with them, plan food, have things available. They all love to cook. Like, I don't know, food was a big part of our family time this year. So I was pretty excited about that. I talked about hushing the house in January, and it's funny that I said that because I felt like the whole year was a hushed experience in my home. Now, people came and went, and I would make the table big, or I would add chairs to the living room and make it big, or I would take things out and it would kind of contract again. But I felt like the hushing experience, as I mentioned, just when I mentioned the word look, nothing major changed this year. And it really was a restful place to be our home, our neighborhood, walking, like these daily, normal, routine activities that kind of took place. I would almost describe the whole year as hushed, in a really good way. And then that whole practicing forgiveness thing, I don't remember saying that. And but it's wild that it's amazing how often I thought and prayed to be forgiven, to forgive others. And that was a big practice throughout the year. And it really freed me up to live better. It freed me up to not be afraid in ways that I think that sometimes unforgiveness can chain you to just believing a lie, maybe not doing an activity, because you perceive something. And that forgiveness piece kind of winds its ugly fingers when there's unforgiveness. It really latches on to you and can really trip you up. And so that was something that I was more aware. Like, do I have unforgiveness in my heart? Is this keeping me from living the way God has called me to live? And so that really was a focus throughout the year, and needs to continue to be. That will never end.
Mhm.
That's good for all of us.
Yes, being ready to seek forgiveness was something else I talked about, and those really go hand in hand. It really builds compassion when you can seek forgiveness.
Mhm. Well, amazing how you didn't even remember saying that. That's so weird.
Mhm. Mm-mm. It's like, who is this I'm listening to? It kind of sounds like me. She's a little annoying,
But
but
you knew that you needed to do it and it stuck in your mind. I guess just having the conversation probably brought it to the forefront.
tell you what,
Yeah. The power of words.
tell you what, it's true.
Yeah. All right. So when I went back and listened to myself, I had some kind of easy things, but yet still didn't manage to accomplish all of them. My first one was photo albums, which are a continual source of angst in my life. More like guilt, I guess, or I don't know.
Mm.
But I actually did do 1 3/4 photo albums. I didn't do them until November, and I did not order them yet, but they are in the website, which in and of itself is a big accomplishment. So I have accomplished a little bit of that goal. I'll be rolling that one over into 2026. I said, and I forgot that I had said this. Like I said, I never gave these things another thought. I said I wanted to go to a show at TPAC. I talked about how there are different things that I value that they're out there in the world, and I don't want them necessarily go away, but I don't use any of them. So I said the example of like the farmer's market in my neighborhood. I envisioned that when I moved here on Wednesday nights, I might go down and buy my dinner. I have never done it, and I still never did it in 2025. So, but under that same example, I gave the example of live theater. I never go to see any of it, and I said, I hear of people enjoying TPAC shows. I feel like Steve and I should go to one. And then in May, around my birthday, after I had completely forgotten about that, we did end up going to a TPAC show. We went to see the Michael Jackson show, and it was fabulous. We had a wonderful time, and I was really glad that I did it, but I didn't remember that that was one of my goals until I re-listened yesterday. So I met a goal.
You're like, yes, crushed it.
And maybe I'll go to another TPAC show in 2026. I said I was going to make my house more functional because having moved a couple years ago, I just never, well, I don't know. I feel like I could blame moving forever. Actually, I don't know. For most people, probably their homes are a work in progress. You're always trying to find something more functional. Some people don't think about that, I guess, but I'm always thinking about how I could change something. So I have been working on that. I have been working on making my living room more functional since just about the day I moved in. Because I feel like I have a lot of people to fit. And so I'm always trying to look at how I could fit one more chair or one more spot for people to sit, but that it wouldn't look like I had just shoved a million chairs in there. So I don't know. I feel like that should be a book all in and of itself. How to fit as many chairs as possible in your living room. But I worked on that. And then I also was trying to, I said that I would like to maybe paint some more, but I don't have any of my paint supplies in the right spots. I said a lot of times when I go to like read my Bible or do a devotion, I don't have it next to me. And then it's not in a spot that I really feel like sitting down. And so then it's harder to make yourself do it. And so I was just trying to like put things maybe where I need them. I was successful a little bit in those things, but as I said, I think it's always a work in progress. Like something works for a little while and then you think, oh, well, maybe I could tweak it here or tweak it there.
Sure. Yeah.
I did say that I wanted to paint a little bit. I did do 2 or 3 paintings this year. I think a lot of it is just getting it out and like making yourself sit down. But my daughter was over the other day and she noticed one hanging on the wall and she said, "Did you do that?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "All right, this is ridiculous. I don't have hardly anything on my walls. I need some art. I'm giving you plenty of notice. I want you to paint me something by next Christmas. So anyways, that was kind of like, all right, there's a goal for 2026. Paint Abigail something by next Christmas.
Oh, that is so sweet, though. Like,
Yeah.
because to do that for her, that's an added kind of bonus. I mean, for her home that she's cultivating right now. That's really, really
Yeah.
sweet. She must
Well, and
think
it
you're
would
pretty
help
good.
to have it all out because I know that was one of my
Mhm.
goals that I didn't do was to set up a watercolor station so that it was just always out.
Oh,
And I didn't
right.
get to that, and so I did paint less. I think getting it out is the hurdle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I also said that I wanted to find a volunteer opportunity. And I talked about how our book club had just read a book called Mama Love, and it was about somebody that had gone to prison. And then it kind of talked about getting out of prison and all the hurdles you have to go through to even re-enter society. And then it kind of talked about like the different ways that people had helped her do that. So it kind of got me thinking about some kind of prison ministry. That did not come to fruition, but I did start volunteering in the foster care ministry at our church. They're called wraparound teams, and I am a coordinator. So a family that has foster children will have a team for laundry, meals, and childcare, and then they need someone to coordinate those things. Basically send out a schedule, reminders, touch base with the foster parent to see how things are going. And so I am doing that. I have one family, but still I felt like, oh, I sort of met that goal this year. I did find
Yeah.
a volunteer opportunity. And then also Steve and I started leading a small group in our home on Sunday afternoons, which I think is kind of a volunteer opportunity. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not just volunteer, but you are, kind of coordinating that. And that's been really good. And it's good for us to have that goal and to know that every week we're meeting with people and every week we need to be prepared for that. And so that's kind of a volunteer opportunity that I started.
Yeah. Yeah, don't downplay that. That's a big deal, Marie. Huge deal, and I'm celebrating with you. Way to go.
Thanks. Then I talked about how I wanted to find I forgot I even had this on my list. I wanted to find a good recipe. I said, I want to find a good recipe where I could make my own sandwich bread. I laughed to hear myself say that.
I laughed when you said that when I listened
Mhm.
back. I was like,
And I specifically said, I don't want to do sourdough. And Julie goes, yeah. Like I could tell in her tone of voice, yeah, that sounds terrible. That's a lot of work. We do not want to get into sourdough. I got all that from her. Yeah. But anyways, now we're both making sourdough, which
Is that
is
just last
crazy.
year?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
Now it seems like
Guys
it's been a part of my life for years.
That's amazing.
I said
Yeah.
that in January, and I don't know if it was February or March when I took a little sourdough class in my neighborhood. And then I've been making sourdough ever since. And I think this is true. I don't think that I have bought a loaf of sandwich bread since then.
Wow.
While I was traveling this summer, Steve bought a loaf of sandwich bread, but that wasn't mine.
There you go. Steve did
Maria, I
it.
think I said no because I didn't think I'd like sourdough as sandwich bread, but I actually do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought it would just be flat out too much work.
Well, that
But,
too.
but it has not been too much work. And honestly, I taught Julie, I taught my mom, I taught my daughter Abigail, I taught my daughter Lydia, my mom taught my brother. I mean, it's like kind of has tentacles
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that have gone out into the world just from having taken that one little sourdough class.
Yeah, definitely a ripple effect. I've taught 2 or 3 people too, and it's
I'm
been
still
fun.
waiting.
We did a whole episode on Midlife Matters on how to simplify making sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
All right, Steve, this is your year.
This could be. Who knows?
Put it on your
I'm-
2026 list.
Maybe we'll
You
see.
can always
Yeah.
roll it over if you don't get to it.
Okay.
So, yeah, looking at my list of things that I kind of wrote down yesterday, I felt like I'd done pretty good. I had at least touched on my goals. And it's funny because I really never did give them another thought.
Right. Yeah. It's fun to always listen to ourselves. It's humbling.
Mm-hmm.
It's humbling to hear the things, that we say that we're so sure about or that we're wondering about. And of course, you never know what's going to happen in a year either. So here we are, we're like, well, we didn't really know how this year was going to go. And so then it's neat to look back and take inventory.
All right. So if we were going to go back and grade ourselves on our year, I mean, Julie, when you first said you did half your goals, I thought, well, that's 50%. But actually, I think we all get an A because even 50%, I mean, the fact that we set goals, we touch, I just think that sometimes I don't set goals because I think, well, if I don't accomplish them, then I've failed. And I don't really look at the ones that you didn't accomplish as failures. I look at them as just things like you said that you're going to continue to work on. And maybe you didn't have time.
For a list maker and a list checker, I'm surprised. I don't feel like I failed because I don't know that I would have accomplished the ones that I did without thinking about them and planning on them and keeping them kind of in the forefront of my mind. So the things that I really, the ones I'm going to carry over, and I'm embarrassed to say, but like I had put more FaceTime more with my grandkids, continue writing letters to my grandson, adding more books to his little Yoto. And I did not do those things. And I'm so embarrassed, but I'm trying to figure out a better way to connect with my grandkids.
Right.
And I just haven't figured that out because little boys 2 and 6 don't like to talk on the phone. Like,
right.
Yeah. And then you run out of like, how are you? Like, I don't know. There's just got to be a better way. So I've got some things in my mind, but that's going to be a priority this year is to figure out how to better. And one of the ways I was thinking is maybe using Marco Polo. I'd actually talked to my daughter about that and haven't done it yet, but like maybe so it doesn't have to be schedule dependent. I can just leave videos for him that he can open up,
That's a neat idea.
and we can communicate that way. And then it can just be more often, not having to wait till everybody's free,
Can you rewatch Marco Polo's, like if he wanted to watch like last month's over again?
I'm pretty sure because I thought when we used to use it here on the podcast, there would be saved videos.
I wonder if you can save them. Yeah,
I think you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that would be something that he would enjoy.
Yeah, like, and I've heard because I follow some people that talk about long distance grandparenting and how to kind of build habits and routines because that's what kids kind of remember. I think is like. It's not, and they said it's not even things that you're trying to establish. Like oftentimes it's they remember something you cooked or something, some little phrase you said or something you had in your house. Like you know how that is.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a way that I can establish more routine.
Yeah.
Well, relationship building with our kids, grandkids of all ages, friends, family. I feel like that's a constant pursuit, and then trying to figure out how best to reach someone in a certain stage of life. And, it's fun. There's always something new out there too. I feel like we're always learning and tech continues to change. So, using it and trying to meet that younger generation and younger generations. It's a constant learning thing.
Yeah. Plus, I have to admire you, Julie, because traditionally grandparents don't embrace technology. So it's a stretch for grandparents to learn a new technology to connect with their grandchildren. It just is. So that is a way that you are going outside your comfort zone and really leading the charge for all the grandmothers out there that have to learn technology.
Right.
All right. Well, listeners, we would love to hear from you. How did you do in 2025? Did you do a bingo card like Julie did? Did you make out lists? Did you have a word of the year? Come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of giving words of gratitude and affirmation. I think this is something that I've noticed is a love of mine and possibly a gift of mine. I think it's come out of journaling so much. And I just finished a book club with some friends. And as I considered like how to end, what could I give? And I really wanted to affirm each woman personally. And so kind of one of my favorite things is journaling. So I actually found journals for each of them. And on the first page, I just wrote gratitude and affirmation, things that I see in them, things that I'm blessed by them, encouragement, thankfulness. I can't tell you how much joy it brought me to sit and think of each person and consider how they had touched my life, consider ways that I see God using them, both with me, but also in the world. And it was really amazing to kind of take the time and think about a person and how they touch the world. And it still brings me so much joy to think about that. And so I don't know if it means as much to them, but I'm almost not worried about that because I'm like, this was such a gift for me to do. And I need to do this more often in the coming year. This is something I love. I need to share words with people.
Oh, Mindy, they appreciated it. I mean, that's a great gift.
I can't tell you how excited I am. It just really, really was abundant joy to do it.
That's so good. And what a great time of year to get a journal because we're right and going into a new year. So
yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Well, I'm a fan of something that my son got me for my birthday, and I love it because it was so creative. I have a new dog, and I'm a fan of him as well. But he kind of came with this collar I didn't like, and it had his old name on it and his old address, and he was just wearing it. And so I'd mentioned that I wanted to get a new collar, and I was kind of cleaning out my closet, and I had some things of my husband's, and I was just kind of letting the boys know, like, these are going to go unless you want them. Because they don't wear the same kind of clothes. They're not the same size, but I just wanted to give them a heads up. And so my son, Andrew, took some things. And I was like, I wonder what that is. I wonder what that's about. So on my birthday, he gave me 2 dog collars that he had taken John's embroidered belts. One of them had dogs on them, and one of them had like fish, I think, like little fish bones. And so they're like embroidered. And then at the ends, they both had like little leather strips with a nice brass buckle. And so he took the end off, shortened it, and reattached the leather and made a collar.
I love
They
that.
are so cute. Now, I don't know if John would be real thrilled that a dog's wearing his belt, but
I bet he'd love it.
You're like, okay, that's what you want.
Yeah. But I sent the dog to dog school for a week or 2, and every day they would say, we just talk about how cool his collars are. Like, where did you get these? And, it's funny because these belts are like $200 belts.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I remember him wearing those belts.
Yeah. I would never like go buy this belt to cut up to make a collar, but we already had them. So, but they are so cute. And it's just funny how everybody notices them. They are just so nice looking. So,
such a niche in the market, for dog collars, like to be special like that and meaningful.
And just, every time I see them, I think of John wearing those belts. And so they're too good.
Go, Andrew.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you get yourself a new little jingly collar with his name and address on it?
I still don't have his
collar tag,
little plate. Yeah, a little tag. Yeah. So, but I did throw the Cooper one away last night.
Okay.
So it's gone. So.
All right. Well, King Children, if you need another idea, get her a tag.
Yeah. So I might post something on the Midlife Matters this week to introduce Skeeter because I don't think I've done that yet. So.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. He was a refreshing part of my year.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. So make sure that you have him wear his cute collar.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This week, I'm a fan of a book that I read. Have you heard of the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
No.
Okay.
Sounds kind of scary.
Is it fiction?
Is it a thriller?
No, it's nonfiction actually, and I don't read a lot of nonfiction, but
I know.
it's about a guy who basically ran like exclusive world-class restaurants in New York City and how he got them to that point. And then all the things like this restaurant in particular that he ran, it was a radical reinvention, a true partnership between the kitchen and the dining room, and it practiced memorable, over-the-top, bespoke hospitality. So, like, his team surprised a family who'd never seen snow with a magical sledding trip to Central Park after their dinner. They filled a private dining room with sand, complete with Mai Tais and beach chairs to console a couple with a canceled vacation. He would just practice like radical hospitality to his guests, and like they spread the word. And his restaurant later was named the best restaurant in the world. And so it's just how he got it, like what he practiced, the way he treated his staff. It was very interesting to hear how someone who is so good at a particular job does it. Mm-hmm. And so that was just, it was an easy listen. It was a good audiobook. I enjoyed it. One thing that did stick out in my mind just in regular practical life, he talked about the 95-5 rule, I think it was. And I wanted to talk to my daughter-in-law about this because I feel like she's good at this. So if she's listening, she'll probably be like, what is she going to tell on me about? But my son that she's married to doesn't necessarily want to spend money on the things that she wants to spend money on. And in the book, it talks about how you can like keep a budget and, even not have like poor quality things, but just average type things for like 95% of your stuff. But 5% you can really splurge on. So he was talking about how he ran I think it was like a sorbet cart at MoMA Museum. And he had a beautiful cart made, wonderful flavors. It was a wonderful, successful cart, but he said his splurge were these little tiny handmade spoons. And when the person that oversaw him saw how much he was spending on the spoons, they were like, no, we are not going to spend that much money on spoons. He's like, I've saved money in all these other areas. My splurge is a spoon. I promise it will pay off. And it did. People talked about these spoons. It made the whole experience special. And so I was thinking about Maddie, how a lot of times she'll like stick with Davis's budget for a lot of things, but then she'll be like, no, we are splurging on this. Okay, I've already done all these other things you asked me for. And now on this, we're going to do it my way. And so I really felt like that was kind of a good principle in life that sometimes, because sometimes you can get bogged down in always the 95% and you forget about the 5% that really makes it meaningful or special or a great memory. So that was like one takeaway from the book that I thought really just applied in a lot of areas. And maybe we could even do an episode about the 95-5 rule at some point. I feel like it's definitely something that applies in life.
Yeah, that sounds like a good book. I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it was a really good book. So, all right, you guys, sadly, this is our last episode of 2025, but we are not gone forever. We will be back in 2026. Listeners, we've definitely enjoyed you coming along with us today and talking about how we did, and we'd love to hear how you did too.
Yeah, we'll see you next year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you guys in the new year.
Sounds great.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.